Hey, YouTube, how is it going? I hope all is well. This probably won't be a very long one. I do not assume that any of you have tuned in yet, so we're just going to kind of take our time. I did do a little research, and I figured out how to get the chat to pop up on my OBS thing. So that should be a little more helpful. As you can probably tell, I've got my crap a little more in line today. Today, we are enjoying some Four Roses. We're going with the straight bourbon, of course. I'm a bourbon guy. I like bourbon, so Four Roses is good. This isn't their best stuff. The single barrel stuff is really kind of their best, to be honest. But this stuff here is actually very, very smooth and very, very drinkable. So, yeah. And today I'm enjoying it out of my Crater Lake, Fort Klamath, Oregon, whiskey cup or whatever you want to call it. Oh, dang, Team YDNA in the house. You are first in the chat. Way to go. You guys are on point today. Holy cow. You know what I love right now is you basically have one channel at the very least, Andy Lederman. You have one channel that is like a live channel all day long. So if you're into amplifiers and just life in general, Andy Lederman is there for you. And he's got a very cool team of people that are dedicated followers. I'm one of them. So that was kind of what prompted this this live stream is, he's not live right now. Thank God. That guy's on all the time. It's really tough to stick one in there every now and then. I was excited to hear that Lefty got his amp and is enjoying that from Andy. I don't know, for those of you who have not gone to his channel and followed him yet, he's not that hard to find. Just go Andy Lederman. And it's Lederman. A very misunderstood character. I've talked about him before briefly on my channel, but I get him. I get him. He's hard for some people to listen to in a live environment, with wife and kids maybe around or at work or something perhaps. But once you understand him, everybody is just the same, expletive. It's not meant to be derogatory or anything. Oh, thank you, Team YDNA. I appreciate that you are going to do an amp about my amp giveaway. There are people trying to push this. I'm actually kind of shocked that Internet Money is actually kind of helped pushing it onto some of the other, like the gear page. I think there's a post on, I can't remember what the other one was. There's another one of those music channels. John, what's going on, my man? Take it off speaker. Take it off speaker. Does it sound wrong or something? Yeah. So there's a couple different channels that are talking about it. I've actually put a post in the Seymour Duncan pages. I find it very interesting. Like, I'm not popular by any means. I mean, Rig Talk, that's what it was. Hey, AC, how's it going, my man? I'm very, very shocked that you can't even give away an amp sometimes, it seems. Like, nobody knows who I am. That's fine. I don't care. But it's just one of those things where it's like you talk about something, you give somebody a link to something, they can see for themselves exactly what they're looking at, what they could possibly be. Yeah, well, Andy's probably not watching, right? He's probably actually asleep for the first time ever. But yeah, it just shocks me a little bit that, you're doing a little amp giveaway and you can't get people to be interested in it, which is just to say that I'm not that famous or popular yet, which is probably a good thing for some of you because it's turning into like a 3 or 4 man show at this point. Part of what I wanted to talk about today was just obviously the fact that this type of channel is starting to come alive, I think. There's very few of us that are doing channels where you can learn about how to build guitar amps more or less in real time. In Andy's case, literally in real time. And then they teach you the actual secrets, I guess. Not how to fix them necessarily. Knowing how to fix them is definitely a different kind of trait, I guess, if you will, like Psionic Audio. He's got his thing going, and there's obviously a few others, Brad the Guitologist, etc., etc. They're more amp repairmen or whatnot, which is great because those types of people need to exist. And it's not that they probably can't design a guitar amp from scratch or whatnot. I'm sure that they obviously could. I know that Psionic Audio has. Lyle is his name, just for those of you who are wondering who I'm talking about. But that's not their thing. That's not how they make their money. That's not their forte or whatever. I think it's kind of a different scenario when you can actually design them yourself and kind of create your own little things, because you're not relying on it as necessarily a source of income. But it's always kind of intrigued me that you couldn't just go to a channel like this where they literally show you the gets and all that fun stuff, all the good stuff, like what it is they're actually doing. Most of the people are trying to, there are no bathtub resistors, all right? And actually, I was reading up a little bit more on that. I've always understood that there's a rating for the resistors. We're segueing right now, by the way. There's a rating for the resistors, right? But it's not that you apply 700 volts on one side and that's the problem. It's that there's a 700 volt difference between this side and that side. So if this were going to ground and it was plus 700 volts over here, that would be a problem, right? Because they have a breakdown voltage. Most of them, it's right around 350 volts, thereabouts. It depends on the type of resistor and how it was designed and stuff like that. But it's having a 350 volt drop that is the problem with them. Not so much just, it being on a 700 volt rail. So just saying. So yeah, bathtub resistors, they're just not good looking. They're kind of ugly, to be honest. I'm not a fan of them, but they're just kind of like a necessary evil. It's really difficult to find affordable and good quality, resistors that are 5 watts and up that also look nice. So Zycon is like the only company that I really honestly will put in an amp if it's a bathtub resistor and sell it. And it's only because they are the nicest looking ones. Like the material itself looks really clean. The way that they print all the labeling and stuff on there is really clean. And it just looks the part. Whereas some of the other ones, they literally look like somebody crapped it out of their butthole in the backyard or something like that. I don't like that kind of crap, so I won't sell it. But these are the Vishays here in these positions here. Obviously, you can probably tell this is not soldered yet. There has been some progress made on this. No, I have not released any videos lately. I have just been super busy. I had to drop off some equipment of mine for a gig this weekend for a rental. And I decided to also go on a camping trip this weekend. So I went with my good friend Brian, who I've talked about before, and we went camping. Obviously, I was not able to do any more work on this, and this is where I left off the last time I did any kind of work. So, in either case, kind of going back to where we were before about just these channels in general. There's not many of them doing this kind of crap, and I always thought it was kind of interesting, and that was the basis for me starting kind of going the direction I did. If you notice in my thing, it says, talks about guitars, amplifiers, and motorcycles. And at the time, I had a little more free time to do motorcycle riding, and I was more interested in that. I still consider myself to be an avid motorcycle guy, but I haven't gone riding very much lately, and it's mainly just because I've been so freaking busy. I just don't have any darn time, and it sucks because I am trying to work on my retirement, I'm trying to get out of doing sound, and I'm trying not to have my weekends loaded up with bullshit. And here I am every freaking weekend. It seems like I've got something I've got to get done, some project. The water heater breaks, the water pump in the car breaks. All these things just keep happening. Life is adulting sucks. Give me a thumbs up if you think adulting sucks, and cheers to that. But as I started doing more of these videos, it just kind of dawned on me. It's like, okay, there's not really many other people going out there and talking about building their own design and showing it to the world. There's a gentleman, Elams or something like that. I think he's Swedish, Scandinavian or something like that. He's got a really cool channel. He does point-to-point wiring. The way he does it is cool, but it's not a realistic way to do it. It's actually not necessarily the best way to do it, but, it is a very cool way to do it. He does it in a way that's kind of similar to BC Audio, which is an amp company out of Canada. And the way that guy, I've talked about him in some of my other videos, the way that guy does this stuff, absolutely amazing. I love it. But it's just not practical. I don't understand how he can possibly do it. There are downsides to doing true point-to-point kind of stuff. And more or less the downsides are, it's just, the amount of time it takes to do it. I'm anal retentive enough, and I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't because you can't see everything, but literally every value is pointing straight up so you can see it. So there's not one of these resistors in here where you cannot see the value. Same with all the other capacitors and stuff like that. I spend the time to make it so, darn it, beat it up, why don't I? I spend the time to make it so you can actually see all of that kind of stuff. And that's just a me thing. Obviously, it means nothing. Nobody cares, except for maybe the people that are trying to, want to clone this stuff or something like that. But the reality of it is it really doesn't matter that much. The part works the same either way. It's just, for me, it's like a thing. To me, it shows that attention to detail, and that's the difference. This amp was hand drilled. And you can just kind of tell, I spent the time. I made sure that everything went in there nice and straight. Like if you watched the other live video, you saw the face plates of this thing. I got them covered up right now so we don't scratch them. All those little things kind of come into play. And I really wanted to have a channel that exposed all that. And then I caught wind. No, I didn't even catch wind. Like I was just kind of going through and watching random videos on YouTube about how to build guitar amplifiers and whatnot. And I came across Andy's page. And he intrigued me because he was talking about actually going through the process of building these things. And it was his own design. And he interacted with people. And it was like, hey, this is freaking awesome. And then it was just like, okay, he says motherfucker, fuckers, and fuck you, and this, that. Like every other word was that. And it was just like, okay, this is a little off-putting. But, I get it. Okay, some people just, that's how they, emote, right? And then as I got to watch more and more and more of them, I finally decided, you know what, this guy's worth a subscription. And that's when I brought him up on my channel and pointed it out to people because it was just like, okay, I finally get him. I understand him. And that's great. And I love, just like he loves real people, I love real people. So not everybody gets it, and we're not for everybody. I'm different. I'm not as exciting. You may never see my face. Okay, here's the reality of it. I know that you're going to have to see my face one of these days. I'm not trying to get around that fact. It's just I am not ready yet. I don't know why. It's just a thing. I thought I was going to be like the next AVE or something like that. Everybody wishes they could be AVE, but I wanted to be the talking hands guy, right? But then as I got a little, like probably about 2 months ago, when I started getting more pressure from some friends and other YouTube channels and whatnot, like it just kind of dawned on me. It's like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to take this company and move it on to the next level without, it just cannot, you can't not get to that point. But I'm so goddamn good looking that I don't want to distract you from all the stuff that we're talking about here, right? Like you don't need to see my face, because then you won't pay attention to what's going on here. And the ladies, come on. I can't carry a baseball bat around everywhere I go, all right? I'm just saying. Bob Jika's another great guy. He is friends with all of those names that you've ever heard of. I think he had an AB relationship with Ken Fisher. And he carries a lot of those oddities with him. I have an amp behind me that I've been playing with. I finally got it back from my friend the other day. And I can tell you that there really isn't much of a secret to what Ken Fisher was doing. What it was is he was doing something that no one else was doing. And the way he was doing it made you think it did something it wasn't actually doing. I can tell you right now, those amps that people copy, they copy it because that's what they saw in this, It's not even perfection. And passion, definitely. There's definitely a passion. But perfection, like he's known for, moving these parts over here and this, that, and that. It didn't look good. Maybe it sounded right. Although, that little bug's got to go. I'm going to kill that little guy. You probably couldn't see him, but I can see him. This little... Get out of here. Anyway, I'm not naysaying him. And don't get me wrong. Like, he's not here to defend himself and tell me I'm a dickwad. So, I'm not going to go down that path. But I can tell you just from my experience in doing this and having built one of his designs more or less, point to point, yada, yada, yada. It did the thing that his amps do, but the way that he gets there is different. And what everybody thinks is going on in there is not what's going on. It's not a secret. It's just the people that actually have known him and the mystique and the mystery, all the crazy stuff that you hear about him that was maybe true, maybe it wasn't. Those are all the little things that I think made him famous and popular. Whether you actually believe that the direction of the wire makes a difference is up for debate. There was a lot of that kind of snake oil stuff and a large bit of that, dark magic kind of crap. If you honestly believe that the cable direction makes a difference, well, then yeah, you're going to buy that and you're going to stand on that mountain and you're going to blow anybody off the top with the biggest gun you got because, that's your belief, and somebody's not going to change you. There's obviously probably a little bit of what do they call it, confirmation bias or whatnot, and you have something that no one else has. And if you think about it, technically speaking, if you own one of my amps, you have something no one else has. And if I was a nutbag and came up with some wackadoodle idea as to why all the components facing straight up so you can see all the values was more important than just setting it in the thing and saying whatever, then, if you really believe that and that was your mountain to stand on, you know what I mean? Like, that's all it kind of takes. And I talked about that in another video about why amp builders are so weird. And it's literally because I'm not saying I'm any different, but we are all playing off of some, not mystique, but, like a mantra, if you will, or a belief, or some idea-ism, and I'm going to say it's an ism because it's definitely an ism. And you just kind of finding your little niche, right? Like, there's only one Mark Sampson. There's only one Mark Zayat. Sorry, say it right? There's only one Lyle. There's only one Dave Friedman, et cetera, right? There's only one, right? So you just have to be the one that gets there first, and that guy that just happened to get there first and has all those little components I was talking about before, you have to make a great amp. That period. Like, it doesn't matter how it looks, how it's all the other things, right? It just has to be a cool amp that somebody wants to buy. That's first and foremost. And then you have to be kind of an interesting person because people have to want to know about you to find you. B, right? And then C, you have to know somebody that can promote your stuff for you. All the above. And then you got to be a good businessman. And it's literally everything in this life, in this world, is a 1%ers club. I am not in the 1%ers club. I don't try to be, and I don't want to be. I kind of realized early on that, the ones that are the best of the best, that 0.01%, that top 1%, right? There is only one Luke G. That is correct. But still, even if there's only one of me, to be the best is bold in and of itself. But, obviously everyone else kind of has to stand behind that as well. So, hey, John, take care, man. Have a good night. Sleep well. And we'll see you soon for sure, I hope. But to be that, you have to be inarguably that person. And there's literally only this number of people in the world that can be that. Not everybody can be the best. So I've never been the best at anything I've necessarily done, right? Like, I used to be a big rig truck driver, and I was pretty good at it, but I was never going to be the best. I never thought in a million years I was going to be on the Ice Road Trucker show, and everybody's going to be talking about how I was the greatest guy in the Alaskan countryside that could drive over the ice, yada, yada, XYZ. I was never going to be the best guitarist. I knew I wasn't going to be the best guitarist, so I didn't even try to pursue being a musician once I kind of realized that. And then I got into doing sound, direct to PCB. Sir, it's a cool amp, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a fan of PCB, period. So, but then, so I wasn't going to be the best at that. And then I got into sound, and I was just like, I want to be the best at this, but I don't want to deal and I don't want to be the person that I've seen others that I know are the best at that job. Like they're just not human anymore. And I kind of realized that the people that are best at what they do, they're just not human anymore. And it's probably because their entirety of their existence depends on having that, that thing that makes them the best at what they do. And then I started getting into actually designing these things, and I was like, every amp that I've built has always been better than any other version of it I've ever played, right? And I've gotten pretty spoiled, if you will. I've gotten to work with a lot of amps over the years. I've gotten to see a lot of amps. I know how they kind of sound, how they kind of work. I've gotten to mess around, right? So when you kind of get a Plexi style amp and you play it, and then you build your own Plexi style amp and you're like, this is different, and I didn't do anything all that different. What is different about it? And it kind of comes down to what Cyanic Audio, Lyle, what he says about, people that build guitar amplifiers. It's not the fact that somebody built it, it's who built it. And it's the person. It really, honest to God, is the person. And another good example is the gentleman that Andy was talking about today that built that amp, the very first amp he had ever built, and it looks totally professional. It's the one that he bought off the Masterclass. God, I wish I could remember his name. I think it was John, actually, right? Maybe it was John. I could be wrong. But in either case, the dude killed it. Like, he made an amazing freaking amplifier. And it was his first time. Holy cow, right? That's crazy to think that somebody is just naturally that good at doing something. He just needs a little direction. That's it, right? Well, if you kind of have that talent, you can probably pretty easily become the best at doing whatever it is you do. But for me, it was just kind of like, okay, hey, I can do this kind of stuff, and this isn't that difficult for me. It's just like kind of natural for me to be able to do this. So maybe I can be the best at this. And I know that I'm never going to be the best, and I don't care to be the best, but I want to help. My objective is to help bring this kind of stuff to light in order to bring out the best, the next of the best, right? So that's kind of why I'm pointing out channels, like Andy's and whatnot, that I think are the what do you want to call it? Like the cornerstones of this type of industry, if you want to call it that. You see a lot of the same names out there, right? Everybody kind of resorts always to Two-Rock and how they're the next best thing or the best thing, right? They're piles of crap. It's a freaking PCB. At one point in time, what Two-Rock was doing was great. What Fuchs was doing, or Fux, or whatever, however they say their name, right? The Artisan 100, yeah, the Black Star, it can be done, right? That is an amazing amp. I did watch that video. Lyle actually did a thing where he showed it. From the factory, it was done right? It still has some things. It's basically a copy and paste kind of thing. They changed a few things up to, make it not exactly a copy and paste, but, nothing wrong with it, right? They did it right, and it's not impossible to do. So it's not that this is impossible to do, but somebody out there is going to do a better job than me, and they're also going to create unique designs, right? Now, this one obviously is based off of 5E3. I want to say that there's enough different going on that it's realistically not going to be anything like a 5E3 at all. I'm using a totally different power transformer, using a totally different rectifier tube, using a totally different output transformer. I have a very different, preamp topology. About the only thing that this is going to have in common with an actual Tweed Deluxe 5E3 is the fact that it has a cathodione phase inverter. And then maybe I'll quit knocking that over eventually. Literally, that's the only thing that's uniquely common to this amp and the 5E3. So when I say 5E3 inspired, it's literally like, okay, here's a 5E3 topology, and then, let's just kind of build from there out. What do we want to fix? I think voltage-wise, some of my mantras, my little idioms, if you will, is I don't like higher voltages. I've talked about it before, where I kind of feel that slamming the tube with a butt ton of voltage is not the answer. It's just it's detrimental to the life of the tube, right? If you use it, you will lose it. It's one of those sort of things, right? So lower voltages kind of introduces the cathode to work a little bit more. And again, this is a running theory. So, it's a hypothesis at the moment in time. It is not proven. I don't have any way to quantify it. But, when you use lower than is typical plate voltages, it introduces more work from the cathode side of things, which I feel has its own kind of sound, for better or for worse. And it, I think, improves the lifespan of the tubes. One of my amps, I made sure that the voltage on the plates of the tubes were within a reasonable point, and biased it like I would normally bias most of my amps. It's cathode bias, so I biased it to 90 or 95%, and I try to err as close to 95% as I can get it. And the tubes in that thing have been in it for over 5 years now, and that amp has never seen a day in its life where it wasn't at, 100%. Like, that amp just lives dime the whole time. So the fact that I can get tubes the last 5 years and the thing's literally just dimed every time it's turned on is... All right, AC, yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I know. I did it for about 4 years, and I did aggregates. So I did what I call running tight little circles. I literally moved dirt from here to there, and then went back and moved dirt from here to there, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't do any of the long haul kind of stuff, but it was a fun job. I liked it. I could honestly get back into truck driving. Now, the only reason I let it go is twofold. A, I got a DUI, which didn't help anything. Some vices get you sometimes, right? Lesson learned. Anyway, but I didn't get in any kind of serious trouble. So just so you know, it wasn't like I killed anybody or anything like that. Just being honest. But in either case, so obviously I had to lose the license for a year for that. But I kind of realized that there was zero perks to having a Class A license. Like, everything about having one was kind of in detriment to anything else I did, right? You didn't get any breaks on your insurance for being a professional driver. You didn't get any breaks on anything. Like, in fact, they were more stringent on you with all the other laws and all this stuff. I think now, even if you have a CDL, it's 0.04 ABV or whatever, the blood alcohol level, whatever it is, as opposed to the 0.08. Regardless of whether or not you're driving a truck, which I did not get a DUI while I was driving a truck, okay? All right, and this is long enough ago that it's already off my record. I beat the whole where it stayed on your record permanently sort of bit. I live in California, and that's one of their big things, and where I live, it was like there was a competition to see who they could get. Yeah, I deserved it. We're not going to argue about that, but it was just one of those things where it was kind of just unfortunate how I got it, because I was literally a block away from my house, driving in a 1961 Corvair. And the only reason the guy stopped me at all was because I wasn't wearing a seatbelt that was not required. And, of course, everything goes from there. So, whatever. We live, we learn, and we don't do that crap anymore. So now I enjoy this stuff in the privacy of my own home. And then I don't go anywhere after that. Yay! If you've ever gotten one, you'll learn real quick. There's rules. Just don't break the rules. So there. So when it came back down to whether or not I was going to go to driving again, I was just like, no, I kind of don't care about having a CDL anymore. So there you go. That's why I gave up on truck driving. I moved on from there into, what did I do? Oh, I went from there doing sound, actually. So in either case. So yeah. The hope is that we can show you guys how to kind of do your own little thing, right? And I think Andy's on the same page. I kind of had a similar idea as to him to do like a master class sort of thing, but I was kind of looking at doing one more where I sold the whole thing as a kit. So it was more or less like a one-on-one kind of, not a one-on-one course, but a whole course. So you bought all the parts from me, everything the way you see it right now, and then we literally go point to point on how you do this, how you do that, all the links to the wire, et cetera, et cetera. And I just didn't feel like it was going to, nobody cares. I can't even give my amp away, so why would anybody want to buy the freaking course for it, right? So, it is what it is. But I'm kind of shocked that I'm not seeing Internet Money or a couple of the other guys on here. But AC, Team YDNA, thank you guys. I appreciate you. This it's not meant to be a very long video. John, well, you guys know him as Internet Money, but John is his first name. I won't go any beyond that. But he did reach out to me. He got a hold of me via my email. Yeah, I can give it away. I will be giving it away. I have to give it away. I kind of want to give it away, to be honest. I kind like with Alex today, Lefty, and him getting a hold of that. Wait, what? You got 2 accounts, or did you just change your name? I didn't know you had both accounts. I'm used to seeing Internet Money, dude. I should have known that you were hardcore, but you got the wrong team on your placard there. Just saying. I'm teasing. It's actually kind of wild in the chats. So I kind of love that Andy's smart. Like, this is really smart. I mean, he's a controversial character, which is great because that's we need characters like him to weed out the freaking Nimrods and trolls. Okay, all right. Well, you freaking keep making videos, man. I'm gonna jump on there and subscribe here soon. I need to be more interactive for sure. But I love how he's got like a team of people that he, more or less trusts or whatnot. Somebody like me, and he will allow us to throw the banhammer down on the frickin' trolls. And it baffles my mind how many trolls are out there. I've never had that thing in me where I was like, I want to, just say something dickheadish to somebody because they're talking on YouTube or anything for that matter. It's like, I don't know. Being a troll just isn't a thing for me. It baffles my mind. So when you get people that come on there like, you're a pedo, and it's just like, come on, dude. AC, thank you. We'll talk to you soon. We're almost done here. It's 30 minutes of me just yip-yapping away, but I have just a couple more things I wanted to yip-yap about. So kind of touched on most of the points anyway. But yeah, I think it's great that he's got a team of people like you and I that can go in there and be like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. So that is smart. I haven't gotten to that point yet. Maybe I just don't cull those kind of people into my life. I don't know. I don't know how I handle it. I got thick skin. I was one of those kids that was just, I'm a dorky dude, right? So I was always just, put myself out there and footloose, fancy free, whatnot. So I'm easy to pick on, whatever. But it also gives you thick skin, and it learns you how to kind of roll with things and just be quick on the tongue with stuff. Somebody's got some quip to say, and you just got something that instantly pops out your mouth that just instantly puts the needle scratch on that conversation because you literally reached down to the bottom of the barrel and pulled out the best. Yeah, we need a team A-Tech we need that. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm that kind of guy. Like, I'm probably not the guy you want to argue with because I'm going to have something and I'm not going to pull the punch. It's going to sting. And it's usually well-grounded too. Like, it's not far from any kind of truth. It's not stretching anything. But it's probably going to be inappropriate, and it's probably going to be what nobody in the room wants to hear, and it will be ill-timed for sure. It's like Asperger's personified, but it's going to be right. It's going to be deserved. And I will let you walk into it. Trust me. I will give you all kinds of rope to hang yourself with. I've mentioned it before. I am a type A passive-aggressive. So I will let you hang yourself with as much rope as I'm willing to give you, and then I will yank that shit and your head will pop off. I'm that kind of guy. So my thing is to not get into arguments or fight with people in general. I've gotten really good at just being cool because I used to be a lot more ornery when I was younger. My mouth. It's taken a long time to be me as I am now. So in either case. What is that saying? Like, it's best to not get in a fight to begin with. Being able to talk your way out of something is really good, but Generally, I end it with like the what do you call it? Like word judo. It was like even the guy that's standing in front of me that wants to knock my block off can't even sit, can't be mad at me for saying it. Like he's just like, "Fuck, that was good, dude." It hurts, but dang, there's no argument. That's the way I love to end a fight. My wife probably doesn't like or agree with that by any chance. All right, so getting back on track. Anyway, I'm gonna touch up on this again in the next video that actually goes over how we've gotten to this point here. I do have a video that shows me bending all these leads and stuff like that. I did not decide to do it in real time because again, it just takes so much time. All these things are hand bent one by one, and I literally sit there and take the time to make sure it's in the middle of the space and that it's, the value is pointing straight up. So it's just deathly to watch. Like it's boring to watch. Like I couldn't create conversation and do that at the same time well enough to do it. So I just did it, like time lapse and just did it. This week this last week, I should say, I probably spent total time on this close to 10, if not more hours. I would spend two hours this night, 3 hours the next, et cetera, et cetera. So, you just kind of do what you can in the course of a night, and then I would do time lapse of it. Half the battle is doing all the setup, so you're kind of finding all the parts. I've got a bunch of part bins, so you get all the parts out, and then you're trying to create a plan. Believe it or not, I do kind of have somewhat of a plan when I do these videos. I know it doesn't sound like it, but I'm beginning to realize, and I like this live format quite a bit. I think Andy's onto something. I think the future of YouTube is going to be live, to be honest. And I know that they're starting to push it a little bit more. I don't even know how many people are watching right now. I don't care, but I have the people I want here, so that's all that matters. Yes, I have finally learned that Team YDNA is internet money. I need to get, well, I have multiple channels. So when I'm at work, I'm kind of spoiled rotten. I'm an IT technician during the day, so I sit behind a computer most of the day. And here I am sitting behind a freaking computer again. But when I'm sitting there doing, running code and doing all kinds of stupid crap and walking people through how to fix crap, I'll have Andy and his channel on in the background, just kind of filling up my airspace. And it's a real show now, by the way. So then, I'll yada, yada, yada. But I have a different channel for that. I have my work YouTube channel, if you will. I try to keep work and personal somewhat separated. On occasion, I'll go in with my own account while I'm at work, but just depends on what's going on. Most of the time, it's background noise, and I'll step in every 10 or 15 minutes to take a quick gander at what's going on. And if I see anybody that's being a dickwad, I'll put the band hammer down, and then, duty calls, and I got to get back to work and, saving somebody from a printer that won't print. All right, AC, take care. I'm sure you were waiting for me to get to the actual points, but, I wandered. Okay, anyway, so to get back on point, one of the updates that I am going to make about in the next video, and you kind of get the foresight to it, Mr. Team YDNA there has already gotten this via email, but I do have a plan now on how I am going to start this competition, if you want to call it. It's not really a competition, but I have to find a way to give the amp away. I want it to be fair, I want it to be interesting, and I want it to be kind of a battle. I'm sure there's maybe only going to be 5 or 6 people that are willing to duke it out a little bit. So it's going to kind of be a matter of who pays attention the most. I think Internet Money, Team YDNA, is probably the one on the ball the most so far. So Andy, if you do catch and watch this video, you're going to have to, your name is in the hat, as well as Amber's, but you're going to have to spend some time, because I'm going to throw some curveballs in there, and you're going to have to guesstimate. So in the next video that I do, where I actually show how we've got to this point so far, it will introduce some of that stuff. And we will actually start to whittle in how to get your name in the hat, if you want to call it that, but also how to add chances, I guess, if you will. I think I want to go with like a point system. So it doesn't matter if you're first necessarily, like if you're kind of within the first day or the first hour or two, and you answer the query, your call to action, if you will, then obviously your name will get put into the hat. All right. So every time your name gets put into the hat, you have an extra, ticket, if you will. So obviously, the more tickets you have at the end of the game, the more your odds will be. So I'm going to go ahead and say right now that Team YDNA has 3 tickets already. And I'm not going to go over how we got those tickets, but I'm going to already say it. It's just going to be a number. It means something, but it's going to be 3 tickets. And that's the way I think I'm going to do it, is a ticket system. So I'm going to come up with a way to keep track and have accountability for who has what. And at the end, I'm going to put a bunch of names in the hat with the number of tickets. And then we will, you better come up with a Team A-Tech channel real quick. I do have a surprise coming up, another surprise coming up, and it will require some attention. So do be aware. I want to say Thursday or Friday of this week, there will be more. I'm probably going to try to make this video that goes over this tomorrow. I just haven't had the time. Today I had to go pick up all that equipment that I was talking about earlier. I had a bunch of speakers that I rented out. I had to go today to pick that up, and it tore away from this. And then when I got home, I was like, you know what? I'm freaking hungry. I want to eat. And then I ate. And then I was like, now I don't want to do anything. So I'll watch Andy Lederman and Alex talk about the amplifier that he got. And after that, I was like, hey, Andy's not live anymore. Now I have an opportunity to talk about me. So there you have it. So yeah, that's kind of the update on this itself. And then I wanted to kind of finish on just the future of this channel. I think it's kind of obvious that this channel is going to outgrow what its intention was pretty quick. Soon, I'm going to have to start going with the branding of this thing, which is going to suck because it means I'm going to be starting from 0 because I won't have any subscribers for the actual brand that I'm going to be going with. And we're going to talk about that later this week. But that also means future-wise, I'm not going to change the format of this channel that much. I do want to get more into the motorcycle thing. I need to spend some more money. I'm tired of freaking spending money, though. I hate shopping. I hate spending money, by the way. For lack of a better way of putting it, I'm Jewish in that respect. I don't know what it is. It's not that I don't have the money. It's just that I don't want to spend the money. I hate spending money unless it makes sense. I still have about $3,000 worth of computer sitting here that I'm not even using right now. Thanks to my friend Brian. He spent a lot of money to get me that computer so I can do the shows the way that I wanted him to. It's just lately it's been so much easier for me to go back to my old standard, dumb it down to 720p to do these videos. Love that amp too, though you couldn't hear much. Oh, yeah. Yes. Lefty. There you are. Hey, man. How's it going? How's the moose mother sucker? Oh, okay. Yeah. Please do communicate with each other. I appreciate that. Lefty, you're lucky, dude. Do tell us. I know that you already said that you like it and that you think it's sick. I'm more interested in like what your impression is of it. Like, what does it do differently than like the 5150s and what that you got? Like, that's kind of more what I'm interested in. Like, is it fatter, more articulate, less articulate, like more saturation, less saturation, like all those little things. Like, I'm kind of interested in hearing how it like really compares in that way. I owned a 6505 at one point in time, and I did not like that amp. To me, it was too staccato. Like this, it was so compressed to the point where you put your finger down and the note like flew off the string. But it was just not fun to play in that regard unless you were doing like you, where you're a super shredder and you do all the legato stuff. And I'm not a legato player, so that kind of thing just doesn't feel the same under the fingers to me. And I'm all about the feel. So it was really hard to have an amp that just had no squish to it, no give to the note, no bloom, I guess is the term for it. So do tell me, Lefty, does it have like, how does it compare in regards to the 5150 like that? Just curious. I do have intentions of making a high gain amplifier. I mentioned it in another video. It's kind of like you got to walk before you can crawl. And again, it's not that I can't make a high gain amp and just run right now. Obviously, I think we know that I can do it. It's just, it's not where I'm at in my head. It's not what I'm looking to do. So I'm not trying to force anything out there. I know it's going to have to be an option, but I have like these things, these isms, right? Every multi-channel amp I've ever had, they've all had something about them that sucked. Most of the time, the switching between channels, the difference was too stark. So clean was either not clean enough or it was too clean and it sounded nothing like the distortion channel, which I just don't like. I like continuity, so I want the clean to be a good match to the distortion channel. So I want it to be a natural shift in that direction, right? I just want it to go from clean to that mean sound, right? There's that. Second is that there's usually a stark difference in the feel between the clean and the distortion channel. And when you get a plexi or something like that dimed up, it has this feel. It's a little squishy under the fingers. It's kind of got some like glue to it, and it's nice. It's fun to play. It's easy on the hands and it sounds killer, right? But then when you back the volume down, it still sounds like that, just cleaner, right? So that whole clean to mean thing. So I like that glue and that continuity between channels. And then, of course, is the effects loop. And I like having effects. Don't get me wrong. I love effects, especially delay and reverb. It's hard to explain. It is dark and thick. Okay. Okay, Lush Hiwatt cleans. Okay. Okay, the background noise. Well, so the EVHs has a noise gate in it, actually. I don't know if you've ever looked at the circuit. So I can't imagine that the Fender version, the EVH versions that you have now from the 6505 versions are much too far separated in terms of circuitry, but there is a noise gate that they employed in them. Another thing that really makes them kind of hyper compressed and kind of tight is, I know at least in the 6505 there was a local negative feedback loop in one of the gain stages, which is probably what is knocking back some of the gain in the 5150 versus Andy's design. So he was talking, I think, earlier about how he's only got like 5 gain stages or something. And the other one has 6, so it doesn't make sense how his has more gain. There is a local negative feedback loop, and I have played around with that a little bit with that amp, kind of tweaking it a little bit. It's not worth messing with. Whatever it's got, just leave it alone. There's that. And then just the way they employed kind of their resonance and whatnot like that is a little, I don't know. I was on this thing for a while about dealing with, like presence and resonance things. And then I kind of learned, I don't really like negative feedback that much, especially when it comes to the power section. Essentially what, for those of you who don't know, Lefty and some of the other guys here do know, but, the idea behind a negative feedback loop is to linearize the gain stages that it envelopes, right? So if you have the power section and the phase inverter in that loop, its job is to try to linearize that, which is to say flatten out the frequency response, which also helps widen it a little bit. And it widens it just basically because it brings all the peaks down, and then you bring the volume back up, which means anything that was low on the fringes comes up in volume with that. So it appears to widen the frequency response while not actually widening it. But and because it linearizes that, its job is to take the peaks out and flatten them down, right? That's what it does. And then what the resonance and the presence knobs actually do is take frequencies out of that loop. So when you turn them up, It's actually shunting those signals out of the loop so that they come back in more. So it's actually reducing the amount of negative feedback when you turn those resonance and presence knobs up. Again, this is not meant for some of you more intermediate guys out there that actually know this stuff, but for the new guys that are watching this stuff, negative feedback works in the opposite way than you think. It cancels out, and when you actually turn up the depth, it's actually shunting away the low frequencies in that loop, which allows them to enhance more, which is to say that it reduces the amount of negative feedback at those frequencies, allowing the amp to actually work the way that it would work. I like designing an amp without feedback loops because if it sounds good that way, there's no reason why it shouldn't sound good with some amount of negative feedback, because then at least it kind of tame it a little bit. I do find that, lack of negative feedback can kind of make an amp woofy at times, depending on what you do with it. But yeah, when it's used in a local setting, again, talking to the intermediates and those that don't know, in a local setting, it's not involving the power section at all. It's in the preamp section. It does very much the same thing. It linearizes that loop, and most of the time there's a capacitor and a high level of resistance in there. No, there's not going to be a negative feedback knob. I don't like negative feedback. It honestly kills dynamics too, to be honest, and it raises the noise floor too. And it raises the noise floor because it's cutting down gain. It reduces gain, and the only way to make it up is to then turn everything up. Well, if you take the peaks out, the parts that were loud, and bring them down, and then bring everything up, everything down here is going up with it, right? So the only way to get rid of something is to cancel it out, which means you're reducing that gain there. That gain doesn't just magically reappear. And then when you bring the gain up to match the volume level, everything that was down here goes with it. So it's kind of like a noise gate in a way, but it doesn't, I don't know. I don't like negative feedback for a multitude of reasons. That is a me thing. I'm not saying that it's no good. It has a place and a purpose. It's just a thing. So, honest to God, if you take the negative feedback loop out of a JCM 800, you will not like that amplifier. It relies heavily on that, period. Like, if you take it out, it will sound like absolute doo-doo, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. A lot of these circuits that are adapted into other, topologies, if you want to call it that, are adapted. And the reason that they sound so different from what they're adapted from is because of those little things like that. It's really just, if you don't understand what it is that you're working with, so like an EL84, for instance, it's a higher sensitivity tube. And all that means is that it takes very little amount of gain to produce all the output that it has available to create. That's why they tend to feel like they have lower headroom. And they have lower headroom because they're lower wattage, but it's not so much that, it's just that they take very little signal to produce a lot of output given the amount of wattage that it has. And a lot of people don't respect that. And because they don't respect it, it means that they just start spanking it with all the gain that the amp possibly could throw at it. And it just goes from cool to not so cool really, really quickly. And then you get other people that are clever. I was like, oh, well, we can extend that clean headroom a little bit by introducing the negative feedback loop and yada, yada, yada. And then obviously all those other things I was talking about. So getting back to the 5150, I had it. I just couldn't deal. I tried putting a choke in it. Most of them I don't think have a choke. I found that the choke loosened it up a little bit. It actually did kind of give it some sponge to it, but it also took away too much of that. It just changed it too much. Like the sound of the amp kind of went a little away from where I wanted it to go. And the feel, while that got better, it just still wasn't what I was looking for. So I actually ended up running a hybrid. I left the choke in place, and then I also put what they call the dropping or sag resistor back in. So I ran it with both of them in circuit, and you would think that wouldn't do anything because one would overtake the other. You'd be surprised. It actually did what I was looking for it to do. So it took the feel kind of where I wanted it to be, but also maintained the sound that I was kind of looking for out of that amp. I also messed a little bit with the resonance circuit in it, and it was just mainly to make it move the frequency a little further down, so when you turned it all the way up, it wasn't so woofy in the woo woo area. It was more like a kind of area. It just gave it some thud as opposed to woof. So I did stuff like that. Yes, I did. Well, which one? This one here, or the 18 watt? Because both of those are kind of open source at this time, if you will. I will say that the circuitry that you see for this one and for the 18 watt is not actually of the completed unit. But if you are clever and you find the video that has the kind of the end result of these, you can very much see everything. Like, you can literally see everything. Like, all the values are on the top. Everything's there. This one, yes. The answer is yes. Except for in the schematic, I have not shown the actual values that I went with. But again, if you really hone in, you can kind of see them here, and we'll go through more videos that actually show all of it. There's nothing secret to it. I'm using a parallel triode that goes into a standard, 5E3 cathodiene phase inverter. I am using the intermediate stage in front of that, but it's a parallel triode going into the makeup gain stage, if you want to call it that goes into the cathodiene phase inverter. So nothing crazy. The only thing that's different is, all this stuff here, which is freely available. I'm using a 17 by 6.5 inch chassis. I'm using a GZ34 / 5AR4 rectifier tube, but I'm using a lower voltage transformer than is typical for a 5E3, which should net me about the same voltage as a normal 5E3 would. Right about the same voltage, I think, once all the tubes are in there. But I have all the benefits of a GZ34 without a 5A or a 5U4 or whatever that they use in there. So same voltage, this, that, and the other. And then the parallel triode, just imagine like taking the 5E3 and then jumping the two channels together, right? It's kind of like that. There's only one way to learn, and it's just to do it. You're an amp builder if you can build an amp, right? If you can take your idea and put it to this, then, more or less you're an amp builder. You might not be an amp tech, and you might not have all these like little things kind of figured out yet. There are a lot of little tricks. I'm still learning. It's being able to literally take the idea out of your brain and be able to apply it to this and turn it into reality. I think that's the only thing or the only litmus that determines, an amp builder from anybody else, right? A tinkerer, if you will, to somebody who can actually just do it. I don't know. Maybe my idea of it is wrong, but I kind of feel like if you had no amp to go off of whatsoever, and you couldn't copy another amp directly, how would you do your thing, right? That's, I think, what's the prophecy? You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that separates the men's from the boys is like, okay, here's a bunch of parts. What can you do with it? Or if you had no direction whatsoever, could you determine what power transformer you needed, what output transformer you needed, and all the interstage components to get where you wanted to go with it, right? Whether it was even remotely similar to a JCM 800 or not, like, could you come up with it on your own? Forced named in 5 minutes. The prophecy. So, yeah, I kind of feel like this channel is going to move more into the exploratory side of things. It's still going to be kind of stuff like this where it's more like builds. I'm probably going to try to introduce more of the motorcycle world into it a little bit to break it up a little bit. I do need to have another channel where it's for the brand itself. I'm working on that. Again, later this week we'll have some more on that. So do stay tuned. I've gotten through everything we want to get through. I know I babbled on quite a bit about bullcrap, but I hope we learned some things. I don't know. I don't feel like there's any secrets anymore. I don't think there needs to be. The fact that that's the part that okay, yeah, those are those 6.2 NPs, right? I'm waiting for a response. Maybe I'm that far behind. I don't know how far behind I am or what the delay is. So I finally figured out how to get the chat to pop up for me so I can see it while watching what's actually going on, so I can monitor things kind of in real time. I know this is kind of boring in this format here, but, you know. Goat. Okay, yeah, good. So, yeah, I do intend to grow this channel still. I just don't know. I think from a branding aspect, it's not going to... Okay, 5, 6.2 NPs, and 5. What are the EVs? So there's the 6.2 NP, and then there's the EV. Is that the EV is like that, the military version of them? I know he said they're kind of like a 12AX7, but just beefier or something like that. I'm sure that they are the coolest tubes on the planet, and it's obvious that they do a thing. I've talked about it before. I'm really trying to get away from using things that don't have ubiquity. So are these common? Like, can you buy them today, brand new, or are they all like new old stock? I'm just curious. Because if it's new old stock and they came out of like some extended vibration, I got one for you. Let's talk about extended Oh, wait. Not that kind of show. Never mind. Because, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not a huge new old stock kind of guy. I own a bunch. So my dad was into electronics at a young age, and he has literally... They are new old stock. Okay. He's got a box, and I kid you not, of like 50 tubes, all like RCA, Philips, Magnavox, like all those old stuff. Yeah, not as easy as the usuals. I don't want to go that way with it. Anything that I know has gone... Is there a gazillion of them, though? I don't know. Is there a gazillion of them? I've heard of them before. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get into that kind of realm where it's just like, hey, I got this really special tube. You can't go on to Tube Depot to buy them. You got to find some guy in Ukraine. Blow guitar, probably. You know, I think I want to love what that guy is doing. I want to love what that guy is doing. And I think he could just jump further if he would just do it like that. What was the one that he's been talking about releasing for the last like 2 years or something like that? And he keeps pushing it back. Is it the One or the Mercury One or something like that? An amp one? Yeah. I think they sound killer. Like that whole preamp in a box kind of thing and all the stuff is kind of built into it. Like that's a cool concept, and the fact that it actually uses real tubes is freaking awesome. Like I built that tube pedal thing. I think that's kind of going to be a direction that, you know, companies will go. But it's just when you start getting away from ubiquity, it just it's scary. Like just, you know, why do you got to have some part that's so rare nobody can freaking find it? If it does break, how do you replace it because you can't find it? Or it's just too expensive to repair because you can't find it? Or you have to send it back to a guy that's 90 years old. He's the only guy that knows the circuitry and how to find the part that he uses or whatever because he bought them all, right? The Ampex, that's the one. You know, things like that. Like, like, I don't want to be that guy. If I die tomorrow, like, you've got at least 3 or 4 of my designs here. Like, somebody could copy it and figure it out, right? You know what I mean? And there's nothing here that's so obscure that they can't make it. And if for some reason I just happen to become popular and famous, not going to happen, but if it did, there would be no secrets and I'd be just some normal dickwad talking on YouTube to like 3 guys. I'm sure you can find them. I know you can find them. I might experiment with them. I don't know if I'll commit to them. I'm not trying to have 15 amp designs. I've kind of stretched the whole topology. Yeah, but see, he does that with a few things, and I think he does it literally just as a selling point. You know what I mean? Like those EL84s that aren't EL84s. They're like the super wazoo whiz bang version of them. The 6914s or whatever the heck they are. I don't know. I can't remember the number, but it's just, it doesn't do you any good if in 20 years from now you can't find that part. You know what I mean? And like 0 bit of good. So I don't want to be like that. I'm telling you what. I don't know if you guys, I'm into bourbons, but this stuff is really smooth. It's really easy to drink. If you've never tried bourbon, 6P6, 6V6 equivalent. Yeah. So they're just the Russian equivalents to some of these. I'll try them at some point, I'm sure. I've been interested, but if you're into trying out bourbons and you've never tried Four Roses, I definitely say, I don't know. I kind of feel like 12AX7s are going to be around for eternity. I mean, JJ's still making them now. They're probably the last of the... No, there's 2 of them over in that region, so Russian/Ukrainian, Slovakian, or whatever you want to call it. To me, it's all the same, right? But they're in that realm, that area. And then you got 2 now out of China. I think someone else, I was talking with another guy who's like, I know all about, and he actually does know all about the tubes. Damn it. Alcohol abuse, dang it. Bareface, hell yeah. There you go. I've heard of that one. I haven't had that one yet. Another one that you might really like if you're into bourbons or whiskeys or whatnot, I think it's more of a bourbon, but is the Eagle Rare. Eagle Rare, I think, comes out of the same company that makes oh gosh, I just had it the other day. Hold on, it's right behind me. Buffalo Trace, excuse me. I believe Buffalo Trace is the distillery that releases it, but it's like one of those, extra special type blends or whatever. But I do have a couple others I need to try. There's been a couple of recommendations I need to get out there. I don't think, like, all the ones that you can find today on Tube Depot that are current production, I don't think those are going to go away in the next 20 years. And even if they do, at the rate they're currently plopping out the ones that are currently available, I think we're going to run into a second NOS era where when they do actually stop producing them, there's going to be just enough into production that, yeah, Buffalo Trace, yep. Okay. Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know how long that's going to last. I think that was kind of goofy. Like, okay. Like, I love Canada. I love Australia, etc., etc. I wish I could go to Canada, but because I got my DUI, I was talking about that earlier, I can't go to Canada technically. But Canadians can come here all day of the week. Like, why do you hate us so much? My understanding is that our trade deal is set up in such a way where, I'm not trying to get political, but this is my understanding. I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. But that it works kind of against Americans in a degree. Like, from my understanding, Canada has like a $2 trillion like upside, or is it $2 billion or something like? There's an upside in one way or another. And Now we're trying to tug it back a little bit. It's like one of those things. Spend like $600-700 and it goes away forever. I might be able to actually get over there now. I don't know if it's because, like I said, I got in before it was permanent to your record. As far as I know, nobody knows it exists anymore. And the only reason you know is because I'm telling you that sort of thing. I don't even think if you search my name on the interwebs, you'd be able to find it. But I probably should try to pardon it. But anyway, like, so as soon as we start trying to suck back some of that a little bit, they're like, nope, we're going to get rid of all U.S. alcohol. I heard that, but I was just like, I don't know. To me, it's just kind of silly. Like, why can't we just get along? Like, why won't Canada just jump on board and be Team America? Come on, just be Team America. It's not like nothing's going to change. Trust me. Most of us cannot survive up there. It's too cold. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go there to visit because I think Canada is freaking cool as hell. I'd love to go to Alaska. I don't think I want to stay there, even though that's not part of the contiguous USA, but you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't live there. There's a reason that there's only so many people that live in this area that's half the size of America, right? It's not for everyone. And some of you Canucks, man, some of you Canucks, they are just on another level. Letterkenny, holy hell, dude, that's the best show ever freaking made. Yorkville is from that area. I used to be a huge fan of Yorkville. One of my other favorite speaker companies, Danley Sound Labs, is out of Canada. Like, I love Danley Sound Labs. Like, cool stuff comes out of there. Hammond is actually made in Canada, and I love Hammond transformers. I shouldn't say I love. It's like I have to love them because there's no other way, right? So, I don't know. I'm just saying. All right, guys. We're running on an hour and 15 here, pretty much. I'm actually starting to catch a buzz now. No, I've not drinking this much just tonight. Maybe I have. I don't know. No, I can't drink that much. Started the other day. Oh, no kidding? Letterkenny. Dude, that show is amazing. I got up to season 8, and then I changed how I was watching television a little bit. So I don't have the service that was showing that. Have they gone on past season 8? Are they in like season 9 or 10 by this point in time? Q mark. Because I'd love to find a way to watch the remaining seasons. Oh shit! So they're still going. Okay, so more or less, I need to do some work and find stuff. So all of my television that I watch now is YouTube. I don't have YouTube Premium or anything like that, so like the only way I can watch a television show beyond that is to get onto my friend's Plex account. And he's got he would put, I shit you not, he would put Hulu and what's the other major one? Netflix to shame. I kid you not. He would put them to shame. If you want to watch a movie, he has it. If you want to watch a television show, he has it. If you have children and they watch, freaking Paw Patrol, he's got it. Like all that stuff. Shorzy. Oh my God. Shorzy. I tried to watch the cartoon version of Letterkenny. I can't remember what Little Kenny, I think they call it, or something like that. It didn't quite land as well as the actual show. I don't know. Maybe it's because when you actually see this, the sister and all, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, I know. I remember now why I watched this show. Maybe, I don't know. I also like what's her? I can't remember her name. The black chick that's the bartender. Like, I love watching her. She's funny as hell, too. Like, her character is amazing. In either case, I think we've about rounded this out. So, I want to thank you guys so much for sticking with me. Do be prepared. There will be more videos coming this week. 1 at least, possibly 2. We do have a surprise coming later this week, for sure. So, in one of those 2 videos, the surprise will be revealed. You may like it, you may not. I don't know. Don't care. What I can tell you for sure is that we will line down some more or drill down some more on how the competition, I'm going to call it a competition, will go. she's a scary woman. I bet she is, but she's intense and I like it. I just like her character in that show. I imagine in real life she's probably a little more tame, but maybe not. I don't know. But we will drill down more on how the system will work for how this thing is going to be given away. Team YDNA, do stay involved. I'm not saying you're out of the running, that your odds are going down, et cetera, but do know that I do feel that once this thing is actually tangible, which is to say that this is soldered and inside this amp and it can make noise, that the attention will start to go up. I am going to actually make it a point to show this thing audibly. I know I am horrible at showing what my amps sound like. I think you may have only heard 2 of them, maybe 3, and not in the greatest light ever. Like I don't know. I'm going to work on that. So that is that. So do stay tuned. I want to thank you all so much. You guys are freaking amazeballs. So thank you, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.